Now welcome to another Let's Talk Some Bad Batch, where this time we'll be discussing the 5th episode of Season 3, also known as The Return. We will be looking at some of the comments left on my review over on that other channel, but as always, we have to start with your ever so brief review of this episode.
There was a lot to love about this episode, to be honest. This one fit the definition of show, don't tell perfectly. They decided to show you the strain between Crosshair coming back to the group, him and Crosshair. They just showed you it over and over again. You could feel the tension. It was done so well.
Yeah, you could see them kind of like looking at each other from across. Sounds weird. Looking at each other from across the room and kind of, I don't trust him, and kind of bickering, and kind of Omega becomes kind of the intermediary of sorts, kind of the, as I put it in my review, kind of the adult of the situation, oddly enough.
What's interesting is it reminds me of kind of some of the differences that I've noted over the years. I mean, I don't have any brothers, but I've always heard that men speak to each other differently. And this really showed it. Women, we would probably, me and my friends in this situation, we would sit down and we would talk about it. These guys, instead of just sitting down and talking about it, they proved how they felt through their actions. Crosshair didn't have to come out and go, I have been horrible and I made a mistake and I did the wrong thing. Instead, you watched him through the episode. Everyone could see his regret. Hunter could see his regret. Omega could see it. Wrecker could see it. It was palpable. You could see his regret for what he's done. You saw his love for his brothers when he was fighting to make sure he could save Hunter.
Yeah, I thought the ending was really good, kind of showing that, because Hunter's big problem is, can I trust this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And
he proved himself that you can trust me. He had the option of just letting him die, but he didn't. He did the right thing, and he proved through his actions. So I liked that they did a lot of show, don't tell. And it was done very well. Yeah, I love that they came back to that base, also, Mayday's base.
I thought that was the perfect idea to come back to. I mean, because that's the point where Crosshair kind of, we know he ends his reign with the Empire in that episode quite nicely.
Yes.
So,
they even brought back that crystal vulture bird, too, that was so prevalent in that episode from last season.
Well, it's kind of like, I kind of see it as kind of his, like this kind of mirror of his, because that bird, because they kind of talk about it in that episode last year, and it's kind of this predatory creature that just survives because that's what it does. And that's kind of what Crosshair has become, this kind of predatory, I don't want to call him an animal per se, but he's been very animalistic in how he's had to survive. And now here he is looking for his brothers and to belong again.
Right. I feel like the episode was very well done. It was a great reunion episode without just having to listen to the exposition. Though at first I was concerned that we skipped all that.
Oh my goodness.
I was so glad that they came back and they gave us a solid episode with real emotion tied in.
Yeah, a fantastic episode. And let's kick it off with the top rated comment from my other video, or my review.
Okay, Derek Lopez says, the argument between Hunter and Crosshair shortly after the reunion is something I wish the same thing happened between Ezra and Sabine. Yes.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
We missed the entire conversation between Ezra and Sabine. We missed the emotions, everything that should have been tied into that.
Yeah, I thought they were going to Ahsoka this episode when it starts with Omega waking up. I'm like, did they really skip those two getting back?
I still can't believe that missed opportunity with Ezra and Sabine. I mean, he should have had so many emotions. The fact that it took them so long, 10 years to get to him. He's been there alone, trapped. He should have been a fountain of emotion.
He had the snail people.
He should have still been a fountain of emotion.
Well, yeah.
Same with Sabine. And instead we got let's just go back to being the way we always were in Rebels and forget that there's any problems.
Well, they alluded to the fact that Sabine was nervous about having to tell Ezra, and Ezra is very excited, like, well, how did you find me? What are the details? And Sabine's like, it's complicated. And so you're expecting this is going to come to a head at some point, right? And it never does. Yeah.
Did not, no.
But no, in this show, as you discussed in your brief review, like, it's done so well. Like, I'm not saying that the Ahsoka series needed to take a whole episode like this did, but, at least like a little while and doing a little something with it could have been nice, because this was handled so well. Right. It's an enjoyable, character-driven episode here.
What's sad is how this probably wouldn't have played out well in live action.
Well, it's
hard. To make the monsters and everything believable and stuff. Yeah. The animation just smooths things out so well for an emotional story.
You can make things that would look silly oftentimes in live action can look just awesome in animation.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I mean, just look at anime. Some of those things, if you tried to like kind of one-to-one take an anime and put it on the screen, it's going to look so silly. It's going to look stupid. But animation, you can get away with things that are just a little
more
excessive
outlandish?
and outlandish. Yeah. So yeah, it works for this episode quite well.
Next comment is from Freelancer. I like this episode. So far, this season is pretty solid. Wrecker has really become one of my favorite characters.
I like Wrecker, but I think they need to find something. He's the one character that I really think they haven't found anything to kind of do with. He's like the fun uncle,
yes.
Certainly.
The emotional drive isn't there for him the same way it is with Hunter and with Crosshair.
Yeah.
I mean, even they didn't know, seems like they didn't know what to do with Echo, so they just sent him away for half the season.
Yeah, that was kind of something I talked about in my other video. I'm like, it felt like they had Tech and Echo and they were kind of filling the same role. So they were like, well, why don't we just send Echo off with Rex and he's got another mission to take care of. And then Tech dies so you can bring back Echo.
And then they complain about how they wish they had Tech.
Well,
sad face.
Yeah, well, Echo kind of points out that, yeah, we miss him.
We do miss him.
But no, I like Wrecker. I think he's fine. But they need
there needs
something.
to be a little more depth to him, is what you're thinking.
Yeah. Because it's like you saw last season what they did with Tech.
That was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and then, well, in hindsight, you're like, oh, they were setting him up to die. But
we kind of want at this point Wrecker to be more than just a surface level brute.
Yeah, I like him, but yeah, I hope they figure something out interesting the rest of the way for him instead of just he's staying as the muscle and the fun uncle, I guess.
I'm still hoping that Echo gives that information they got off the data pad to Chuchi.
Yeah, they now have, I guess it's proof. It's on an
about the
Imperial data pad.
mistreatment
Yeah.
of the clones, that they're literally taking their vets, they're veterans for this great war, and turning them into fodder for experiments. This would have to ring true to some more people in the Senate to have proof of this.
I wonder if they will send it to Chuchi, and that will be the end of our...
Come on, Chuchi, we got you.
I don't know.
Make them into people, Chuchi.
Something tells me Chuchi, if she's involved in this season, she's going to not have a good ending either. But anyway, let's not worry about Chuchi right now. Move on to the next comment.
All right, from Interin Commander. I loved the moment where Tech was mentioned, and even Crosshair looked really sad about it. Reminds me that they served on the same squad for years, even though we didn't get to see much of their interaction.
No, I mean, the series itself kind of starts with the Order 66 and everything kind of falling apart.
But they've been fighting together throughout the whole Clone Wars.
Yeah, and you see that a little bit in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. They do have the one story arc, and I think that's enough, but in the show itself, certainly you don't have a lot of interaction between those characters.
But I love that they constantly reinforce the idea of their brotherhood, that they know each other so well that, hey, plan this, and they all know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they've been together so long. And then it didn't surprise me, but I loved seeing that Crosshair had the same reaction to the rest. Losing Tech hurts.
It was a great moment.
It was a great moment that they shared their grief.
Yeah, the show has some brilliant moments and some great episodes to go along with. Yeah, some not downer episodes, but some slower episodes from time to time. But when the show is chugging, it's chugging, and it's been chugging all season long so far.
Next comment from Mike Thomas. I think Crosshair and Omega are the only ones with a chance of survival. Definitely agree on the Hunter point. He's going to sacrifice himself for the squad, probably Crosshair. Wrecker seems like the emotional last stand guy, and Echo almost certainly dies to force Rex into the Rebels' state of depression we see him in down the line.
I think he's on the right track here. I mean, I kind of agree with all of those.
I can definitely see Crosshair and Omega surviving, because Crosshair, in a sense, needs to survive. I mean, it sounds weird, but he's the one that's really damaged. He's broken, and I feel like this series is going to give him that hope of a new tomorrow to survive after everything he's done, after everything he's been through. That he's going to emerge reforged a new man.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point, to put him through this trial, this crucible, and then he's going to come out the other side stronger after it.
Hunter is the leader. He would sacrifice himself for the squad.
Yeah, I think there's no way Hunter lives. If I had to pick one that is absolutely going to die, I'm sorry, Hunter, I like you, but you ain't making it.
Well, Wrecker, seems like the emotional last stand guy.
Agree.
Get out of here, kid. I'll hold the door.
I knew you were going to go with hold the door.
I had to.
I knew it.
Echo is the one I'm actually not sure on. I think maybe he could survive in a sense. Rex could be in that state of depression just from losing most of the batch, and because he finds out what's happening to his brothers and he can't stop it. Like he just feels like a cog in the machine. Echo's the one I'm not sure about. He could end up anywhere, honestly.
He could. I mean, I guess the question is, if Echo isn't with Rex and the boys, with Gregor and Wolf as well, like, where is he? Is he still, like, in the rebellion? Assuming he's alive.
They could easily just say he's still in the rebellion and he could pass on off screen and we don't have to watch all of them die. It's bad enough that Cody will still... I still think Cody's showing up.
We can't forget about Cody.
I feel like every now and again I see a clone in the trailer, bits and pieces, and I'm like, I think that might be Cody.
I think we will get an answer on Cody.
I think we're going to. I think we've wanted one. We need one.
Yeah, you kind of set it up last season. You brought him in, so don't bring him in and leave us unsatisfied. But no, I like these predictions. I tend to agree with all of them for the fate of our Bad Batchers.
Next from Muscat DR. The Outpost episode was by far my favorite episode from the show so far, and Mayday had an incredible character considering he was introduced and killed off in the same episode. That quiet moment where Crosshair puts up the clone helmets is really a somber moment.
It was kind of unexpected because I didn't really think about, well, they would even have those clone helmets there anymore. You think they would?
No, see, but remember, I'm pretty sure in that episode, he being Mayday, had a little shrine that he is putting up for his fallen clone soldiers. Those are those helmets.
That's right.
They were just knocked careless to the floor when the Empire left. When they abandoned the base, they just carelessly knocked down the helmets. But Mayday had set them all up there to remember his fallen comrades.
Why was Mayday's among them, though?
Because somebody kicked it in there. I don't know.
That's a good question. We were there was a little debate on the comments.
Maybe it wasn't Mayday's helmet. It was just
it was wrapped up. Yeah.
It was there for emotional
right. He did
support,
have a little.
He did have his own little shrine to his fallen brothers.
So in your theory, because we all had our own theories on the other channel, they just kind of, your little shrine. They just didn't care. They were rushing
to leave or whatever, and they just said whatever, and they threw them on the floor.
You just made it worse and better at the same time.
Because the Imperials didn't care. They just knocked him over, stuck him in a corner, and they left the base. Where Crosshair saw that, and feeling reverent, he set the shrine back up.
And I like how Hunter watches him do that, because Hunter's, they don't like the Regs necessarily. I mean, they don't hate them, but they've always been butting heads.
Terms,
especially back in the day, the Regs kind of looked down on the the reject clones, if you will, even though they're better than the Regs. So it was kind of interesting to watch Hunter see Crosshair be, as you pointed out, reverent to the Regs.
Yeah. Next comment from Seth Grasser. This show is the saving grace for Star Wars. Even though it's not a popular show on the grand scheme of things, the writing, characters, and overall storytelling stands apart from everything else Disney puts out. We need more shows and movies that are developed by people who clearly care about the world and how to tell stories. Great episode.
Yeah,
Great comment.
It was a good comment. That's why they made the video.
Very well put.
That's why they're here. But no, I mean, I can't disagree. And I kind of hate that I think Bad Batch is no disrespect again to the show or those creating it or anything like that. But it's this shouldn't be the premier Star Wars, right? We should be talking about how great Kenobi was and how amazing Ahsoka was.
And the saga of the Mandalorians.
Yeah, and yet here we are talking about the Bad Batch, kind of these leftovers from the Clone Wars in more ways than one. And
it's all about where you're applying your good writing team and your execution.
Yeah.
Andor had it.
Yeah,
Andor has it.
Had it. Yeah.
Bad Batch has had it. They've had a couple of off-put episodes, and I feel like they took that criticism and made things stronger from it.
Yeah, I do wonder if they listen because, I've said in the first two seasons, not that they listen to me in particular or anything, but, my biggest complaint in the first two seasons is you have a good couple episodes in a row, and then you have this kind of one-off, we'll go do this mission of the week kind of thing, and you're like, if you would have just kind of kept that going, or maybe you take that one episode that you compacted and had a really rushed story, and you turn that into 2 episodes, and I feel like that's what they're doing this season.
I'm honestly really hopeful at this point that maybe some of those episodes that I thought were not as great from the previous seasons, maybe some of those pieces might come back into play, just like they reused Mayday's base.
Yeah, good point.
Maybe they'll come back to that weird technological terror that was out in the deserty place. Who knows? Honestly.
I hope they do, because they're...
that would be something the Empire would be very interested in. What if we saw some crazy combination between weird clone science, the Xylo Beast...
and the Zepho?
Yeah.
Because we did kind of see that thing was the Zepho, maybe? I don't know.
Zillo Beast? Did I call it?
I was talking about because we had the Zepho thing,
no,
too.
I know, but I always mess up calling it the Zillo Beast or the Xylo Beast.
I think it's Zillo.
I think it's Zillo because someone told me it rhymes with pill, and I call it the wrong thing because I think Xylo sounds cooler than Zillo.
Yeah, that's why I call it Xylo, because it kind of sounds cool. I don't know. I think I've been saying
comments.
It wrong. Yeah, it's my fault. All right, I think we got one more here.
Last comment from Slayer Stennis. Why is it last season if they have a good show? I agree, but I also think it's good that they know where they want to end.
I agree with that, too.
Because they could drag this into infinity, and we could have 1 billion episodes of them doing menial things, like the Bad Batch decided to go to this area and help in this small town. The Bad Batch went over there and stole a hover speeder. The Bad Batch are going back to that mine because they need some more money.
Yeah. Wrecker takes Omega to the zoo and has a fun day out with her uncle.
Crosshair goes to the beach.
Ooh, I'd watch that episode.
I know you would.
No, I think you're right. I think they have the story they wanted to tell, and it takes 3 seasons. And I also think they have plans for what's next.
I think they know what the next animated show is going to be. I think it will bridge
it's probably
off
already
of
being
this.
worked on, yeah.
I'm interested to know what that could be. And as I am sad that a show that's been getting stronger, I think, when the seasons go on, I'm sad that it's going to be coming to an end, but I'm glad they're telling the full story they wanted to tell, rather than down the line them go, well, I think we have too many seasons of this, no one's watching it, just wrap it up.
Which happens a lot of the time with other shows,
yes.
where you kind of extend it, and then you're like, well, now we got to wrap this up, and we have all these loose threads all over, and we'll just tie it up as quickly as we can.
Instead, this is going to be a nice package with a pretty bow on top.
I agree, or I hope. I mean, let's hope for. Though I don't think it'll be a pretty ending. They haven't
shown me anything that has pretty by complete and done.
I know what you meant.
But they haven't shown me anything that leads me to believe that they will not be telling a finished story here.
No, I think they know exactly. Like you said, I think they know exactly where they want to go, and that's where they're taking us. And it's going to be a fun final season, and probably a pretty bittersweet, if not sad, ending. But for now, that's all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn to take to those comments below. Tell us what you thought of this episode, or what we had to say about the episode, and let's talk some Star Wars. And so until next time, thanks for watching.